Hi friends, I just wanted to come on real quick and apologize for not having an intro to this video. However, the original video was shot using one camera and I tried to do an intro with another and the two were not compatible and it wasn't allowing me to edit them together. So I just wanted to say thank you for being here and I hope you enjoy the video. All right, so for this week, I had decided to go ahead, or for the upcoming week, to prep a bunch of food just to make it a little bit easier. We had a lot going on, and it turned into a busier week than I was actually anticipating. And so I decided to take a day just to do some food prep and make it a little bit easier on myself. That way, things are in the refrigerator, people can grab and either just grab and go, make what they want. And it just took a lot of stress off of the week by spending a day in the kitchen and getting things prepared. So I am preparing numerous baked potatoes and a few sweet potatoes. Now, the baked potatoes are obviously a bit more versatile and they can be used for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You can fry them, just warm them back up, do a normal baked potato, mashed potato, kind of whatever people wanted to do. It was really up to them. But again, it was just an easy way to take one thing off of my plate when I have got so much going on. So I gave the potatoes a good scrub and now I am just drying them off and then I will be coating them with olive oil and salt. It doesn't necessarily like change the flavor of the potato, but if you like to eat the potato skin, it does help it get crispy and it does give that a better flavor. So, but that's just a personal preference. It's not anything that you have to do. So I went ahead and I just poured some olive oil over the potatoes and then I just rubbed it in. And then do not forget, because I almost did, to poke holes into each of your potatoes, at least two of them. This helps the steam vent out of the potato so the potato doesn't explode in the oven. I've actually had that happen. It was hysterical. I mean, you sometimes just have to laugh at things that happen in the kitchen. And it was everywhere. It was a big mess to clean up. Only one did it, but it exploded all over my oven. All right, so now that I'm getting the final salt on there, now I don't put anything on the sweet potatoes. I just pop those in the oven. And I'm just going to go ahead and get everything in the oven because it'll take them 45 minutes to an hour to bake. And while they're baking, it allows me time to go ahead and get some other things prepared. I like to schedule almost like my kitchen day in a sense, the things that obviously will take the longest to go in first. That way I can knock out other things. I used to do food prep on a weekly basis and I no longer do it that way because some weeks it just doesn't matter. All right, so now I'm going to just clean up the chicken and get it ready to fry in the pan. Some weeks I will do this once a week. Others I will do it once every other week. It just depends on the meals that I have planned. Also depends on how many packages of chicken that I buy. Usually if I do two at a time, then it can stretch a little bit longer. When I am cooking the chicken, I don't put all of it in the refrigerator. I will actually take some and put a single chicken breast in a cryovac bag and I will vacuum seal it and put it in the freezer. And I do this because it makes it super easy for my daughter to grab chicken that's already cooked. All she has to do is pull it out, let it thaw, and then she can create whatever she wants with it. And it actually does make it better because I've tried the whole all the chicken breasts, stick them in the fridge. Some weeks they'll go through it and some weeks they won't because they get tired of eating chicken, which I understand. So I will occasionally change up the seasoning I put. And as you can see, I had put olive oil and just some seasoned salt. You can choose what you like to put on there. There are some weeks that I will make Cajun chicken, or some weeks that I will do a different type of seasoning that's meant just for chicken. But a lot of times I have found that just using a basic seasoning salt works best because it keeps the flavors mild, so that way you can do numerous different things with the chicken, and so it doesn't, like if you did all Cajun, that's going to interfere with some other flavors. So I usually just keep it fairly basic, and this works really well for us. And so because I'm doing such a big batch, I am putting it in the bowl and adding everything together versus just doing it individually. It does make it a lot easier when it comes time to cook the chicken. All right, because I'm cooking so many chicken breasts, I've decided to use 2 pans to help the process along. I do like to limit the amount of time that I'm in the kitchen. I don't want to spend all day food prepping because it can get exhausting, and so I try to be as efficient as I possibly can. And so using 2 pans helps. Now I could use more, but I don't want to go too crazy as well. So we'll just do this in stages. But I use this chicken for so many different things, whether it's to reheat and make buffalo chicken, fajita chicken, Cajun chicken or jerk chicken. I use it in wraps. I use it cold in salads. There's just a variety of things, but this really does help because we all work from home, and it makes it so much easier for people to just put together their own lunch, or if I'm exhausted from the day, then they can just throw together their own dinner as well. All right, so one of the side dishes that I'm going to be making to go with the meal prep for this week is Chick-fil-A's coleslaw recipe. Now you can just Google it and find the recipe, but it is really super simple. It was their recipe that they released after they had removed their coleslaw from the menu. I don't know if they got enough complaints, because I know a lot of people weren't happy about the coleslaw coming off, that they released the recipe, and it is just a few simple ingredients. But with the coleslaw, you are going to want to put it in a food processor, and you're going to want to chop it up small. If you've had Chick-fil-A coleslaw, you know it's in small little chunks. It's not left shredded like you see in the bag. It is going to be small. Now, I have made this coleslaw in the past numerous times already since finding the recipe, and I've done it both processed and then not processed, if you will, not, processed small. And so the flavor is still there no matter which way you do it, but if you just want that more authentic Chick-fil-A coleslaw experience, then definitely chop it with a food processor. Now, if you don't have a food processor, you can absolutely chop it by hand. That's up to you. For time's sake, if I didn't have a food processor, I would just be leaving it shredded like it comes in the bag. So from here, you're going to add 1 to 2 bags of coleslaw. The choice is yours. I believe the recipe actually calls for 2 bags, but I will link that below, and you guys can check it out. Really just depends on what you're making it for and how many people that you need to feed. All right, so the ingredients are super simple. It's just mayonnaise, sugar, vinegar, and dry mustard. And then that is it. And so, like I said, I will link the recipe below so you guys can check it out. And if you've ever had their coleslaw before, I would highly recommend you make it. It is really, really so good. It's so nice to be able to have Chick-fil-A coleslaw again, even if it's not from the restaurant. So, all right, I've got everything mixed up, and I'm going to go ahead and get it into a container. And then that is done. So while I was doing this, the chicken has already been cooked. The potatoes are still in the oven. And so I'm trying to knock out some of the cold item foods that I'm going to have while the potatoes are still cooking. All right, now that the coleslaw is done, I'm going to work on just prepping some celery. This is just mainly to have as snacks. Not to really go with anything other than the homemade dressing. And if you have not seen my video for that, I will link it below. I made them with the chicken wings, which are the crispiest chicken wings you'll ever have. So if you've never checked out that video or tried to make them the way I show you in the video, highly recommend. They make all the difference in the world if you like a crispy chicken wing. So I'm just going to prep some celery and then prep some carrots and then get those into a container. All right, so now I've also prepped carrots by julienning them, and then I sliced a bunch of cucumbers. Those are for snacking as well, but I am going to set a few off to the side so I can chop some up, and they are going to go into a Thai noodle salad that I like to have on hand as well for days that I'm prepping. And then that way it's real easy to make a super quick lunch out of this Thai noodle salad. I just pull it out and then take some of the chicken I cooked up before and toss it in there. Now, the Thai noodle salad is my take on a dish that is served here locally at one of our restaurants, and it's really, really good. And I wanted to try to recreate it at home. I do not know what the recipe is, I have no idea. I've never asked. I just created my own. Based on the description of the salad on their menu. So, in this salad, there are going to be carrots, cucumbers, linguine pasta, red peppers, and then also green onions. And then it's going to get tossed with a honey lime vinaigrette, along with a peanut sauce. And so while it seems like, I don't know, that'd be interesting. Oh, and cilantro. I forgot the cilantro. That's also in there. That is definitely key. Well, you're not sure between the lime vinaigrette and the peanut dressing. It actually all goes really, really well together. Lime and peanut just somehow work super well together. So anyway, so now I'm just going to get the green onions chopped up. and get them in the bowl while all of this is happening while the linguine is cooking. Now, once the linguine is done, you definitely want to make sure to drain it right away, and you want to make sure that you run cold water over to stop the cooking process. So from here, I'm going to make the lime vinaigrette. I had some old limes in the refrigerator that I really needed to use up, which is why they look a little kind of rough, but they still worked. I got what juice I could out of the fresh limes that I had left over from another event, and then I finished it up what I needed by using bottled lime juice. All right, as you can see, I'm just using some bottled lime juice. You're gonna want to have, I'm just taking out the seeds that got in there through the press. But you will want half a cup of lime juice. And I'm just gonna mix everything into a little mason jar. From there, I'm getting the olive oil, and it's gonna be 1/4 cup olive oil to add in. And all of this can be done right inside the mason jar. You don't have to use a separate bowl. I'm also adding in a 1/4 cup of honey. And so just a little tip, always measure your oil, especially if it's the same cup size first, because that oil will actually coat the measuring cup, and it'll make it so much easier for the for the honey to slide right into your dressing. So all right, so after you put in the honey, you're going to add in the soy sauce, and then let's see, 1 teaspoon, it looks like I added. Yeah, just 1 teaspoon. Sorry, it's been a little while since I've actually done this video, so I have to kind of watch as I'm voicing over it to see. And so from here, I'm going to be adding in the ginger paste, which is one of my favorite ingredients. I can't believe I've taken so long to try it. It just makes it so much easier than chopping up fresh ginger. And don't get me wrong, there are some times where fresh ginger is absolutely needed, but for something like this, it's just so much easier. So it's a teaspoon of ginger and a teaspoon of garlic to go in there, and then from here, just going to add in some salt and a little bit of pepper, and just a pinch of each works, because once you shake this up, you're going to give it a taste to see if you need any more honey, if you need a little bit more salt. You can always add salt, but you can never take it away. So you always want to be super careful when it comes to how much salt that you add. All right, as you can see, I tasted it and it didn't feel like it had quite enough honey to it or enough sweetness to it. So I added another um, about another eighth of a cup of honey to it, and really just use your own taste buds to judge on how sweet that you want it. It's not to be super sweet, but you do want a balance between that lime juice and then the sweetness of the honey to balance each other out, so that way it's not too tart, because you don't want that to overwhelm, because all of this is going to get mixed together in addition with the peanut sauce as well. Now, I already had peanut sauce made up, and so I did not need to make any. This is a staple in our house. I keep it. I love it. I use it for chicken. I use it for carrots and cucumbers, for making wraps, for making pizza. I love peanut sauce. My husband laughs because I am a huge fanatic when it comes to pizza sauce. I mean, not pizza sauce, sorry, peanut sauce. So what I did is I basically took the peanut sauce that I had and I watered it down some so it's a little bit more of a pourable consistency to the salad. I did taste it and it wasn't peanut-y, if that's not really a word, enough. So as you can see, I've got all my vegetables in the bowl, and then I also have my pasta. My pasta had already been dumped, cooled down and been draining while I was working on everything else. You definitely do not want to add in a hot pasta to your vegetables because it can slightly cook them, and that's not what you want. You want to leave those vegetables nice and fresh and crunchy. So the peanut dressing has been added, and now I'm adding in some sriracha. You could also add in some red pepper flakes if you'd like. And you can add as little or as much as you want. The heat level is up to you. Actually, sometimes when I go to the local restaurant, sometimes the batch is a little bit spicier than others. This last time it wasn't as spicy, so it's really kind of up to you what you want. Just start by adding about half of the honey lime dressing and start to give it a good toss. Start to mix everything together and see how the flavors taste. This time around, I actually needed to add just a touch more peanut dressing, and you'll see that here in a moment because the flavor wasn't quite right. Now, this is going to be hard for people who have never had this salad before to be like, oh, this is what it's supposed to taste like. Really, you want just a nice Thai flavor, a nice balance between the lime vinaigrette and the peanut dressing, because that's where the flavors are going to come in. Now, the flavors will marry the more you let it sit too. In the beginning, it may not be as strong, but just give it time because the noodles will soak up some of that dressing as well. Now, from here, when I added in the peanut dressing, this time I did not thin it out. I just felt like it needed a little bit more punch to it. So I think the next time I would do this, even though I did water it down the first time to make it easier, I may try to not add as much water or add no water at all to thin it out, and then just really work on getting it tossed in with the noodles. This is the second time I've made this salad, and so again, keep in mind that I'm not going based on any recipe. I am just trying to recreate what our local restaurant has. Sometimes places are good about sharing recipes and other times they aren't. They don't want to give away their secret because they want people to come in. But I like to see if I can make things the same at home. So I will be trying this recipe out one more time to just really try to nail down the exact taste that I'm going for. And once I have that, I will put a link on this video to that recipe, but not until then. But I did want to share, this is part of my weekly prep that I did on meals, and we still ate this. We still enjoyed it. It was wonderful, but I still want to try one more time to kind of get the exact recipe just right. All right, so now that I have the salad done, I'm going to go ahead and put it in a large container. And again, this will give it a chance for the flavors to really marry together. And again, we enjoyed it. We ate it. It made for super quick lunches. It's a lot of times when I make this, it really is my go-to lunch almost every day until it's gone, just because it is super simple and you can just have a small bowl and put some chicken on top and you're good to go, and it's very filling. Alrighty, so within about 2.5 to 3 hours, all of my prep is complete, and that's usually the time frame that I like to keep it at. And that gave us a large batch of the Thai noodle salad, some fresh vegetables to snack on, which is the carrots and the I say cucumbers, but I didn't take a picture of it, but also the celery. I've got a ton of baked potatoes. Those were used for a variety of different things. And then anything extra was actually put into the freezer. And then I have the chicken, which, as you can see, got a really nice sear on it. And again, that leaves for so many different options in the way of what to do with the chicken for meals, and then the coleslaw. So anyways, this was my prep for the week, and it made it so much easier. I just want to thank you guys for watching the video. If you like what you saw, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you again for being here with me. I really appreciate each and every one of you.